Micro brews, dude.
Dude. Craft brews and casual conversations, continuing the streak, continuing the guestiest of guests, Gough's from Beernuts Production, making his return. What up?
What up? That's oh, what an intro! Well, thank you, Drew. I appreciate the enthusiastic welcome and having me back on the podcast to chat about more nonsense that Beernuts Productions has been producing.
Yes, and this is one of my favorite times of the year because I like fall in where I'm at, the Midwest in America. It's getting cooler. And it's not too hot where you're sweating your ass off, but it's not too cold where you're shivering all the time. You can throw on maybe a sweatshirt and bum outside. That's what I like. That's where I thrive as a chubby bearded man in the Midwest. So it's a beautiful time of the year, and it's also my favorite holiday. I'm a big Halloween fan. I like it more than Christmas. I like watching horror movies. I like watching spooky stuff, mystery stuff. I like going trick-or-treating with my kids. So a perfect cherry to the top of this Sunday was a Beernuts Productions release, all about trick-or-treating, all about Halloween. Give us a breakdown of it.
Well, yes, absolutely. So I thought that maybe a little. See, Halloween in Australia wasn't really a thing until about 20 years ago. So it might be hard to believe, but the first I ever heard of Halloween as a kid was The Simpsons' Treehouse of Horror. And I'm like, what's this Halloween of which they speak? I've never heard of such a thing. And kids didn't do it and nothing, because it was funny because I was chatting to a friend of mine and we were thinking about it. And it's all like when we were kids and we'd hear about Halloween, it'd be the old conservative people going, we don't want to be like America. We're our own country. We don't do their silly holidays. And but eventually Halloween won. But it was too late for me because I would have been about maybe 19, 20 when Halloween sort of started taking off in Australia. And then, over the last 20 years, it's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. And now it's as big as it is in America. So, yes. So I decided that I would take the subject of Halloween and make a 40-minute long mockumentary with all hopefully well thought out advice and tips so that people have a good trick-or-treating experience. And I spoke to a few people like a costume maker and a confectionery genius. And so there's a few little other bits and pieces in there, but it's the 40-minute wrap-up of Halloween.
Yeah, absolutely. And it does a great job of covering all the bases. Even so, you said in Australia, Halloween's almost as big or is as big now as it is over here in America. So then, are there a lot of bars that have like the costume contests, and then you get the ladies all in the scantily clad, costumes?
Well, no, to be honest, I've not ever seen that. So maybe it isn't quite as big as it is over here than it is in America. But there is, like, for example, one of the theme parks that's nearby where I live, Movie World, they do spooky nights. So for like the 2 weeks leading up to Halloween, they've got people dressed up as zombies and so forth. And you go in there and you pay money and you do rides and there's a big like Halloween show and all sorts of stuff. But and the kids all dress up and go trick-or-treating. And I think kids even dress up for school that day as well. Like it's book week almost. So, so it is quite big nowadays. Maybe not as big, maybe, because people don't decorate their houses or anything like that, really? Which I think they might in America. We don't go to that extent. So maybe I was getting a little over enthusiastic, but it's definitely a thing now. Whereas, like I say, 20 years ago, it absolutely wasn't. There'd be no knocks on the front door 20 years ago, and now you get maybe half a dozen kids will rock up to your front door now. So, it is definitely a thing. So I thought, like I said, I'd make fun of it because I like making fun of things. So I made that's where the inspiration came for the film, doing all these crazy sketches. And there's 27 different outfits, so 27 different costumes in this film with makeup and everything. So it was a big undertaking.
Yeah, and so it's 40 minutes in length, which is kind of a little bit longer than what you kind of tend to do. Not like super much longer, but a little bit longer. Was that intentional, or that's just how it worked out?
No, no, that was completely accidental. I thought it was going to go for about half an hour, and it wasn't till we actually finished the edit, and I said to Scott, because I'm usually pretty good at guessing how long the films are going to be. And so I was like, so Scott, that I reckon has come in at, because we don't look at the timeline when we're editing, we just edit, because no one's breathing down my throat saying things have to be a certain length. So I just do the edit and to what the film needs to be. So I said to Scott, I reckon that's maybe 28, 29 minutes. And he looked at the timeline. He's like, nope, that's 40 minutes. I'm like, really? I couldn't believe it. But yeah, so it's just how it turned out. But look, I'm absolutely thrilled with the finished product. I was really happy with how it came together.
In this film, and in a lot of your other films too, you have opportunities for the actors to have a monologue of sort. This one had featured probably about like three of them, I would say, overall, from what I can recall, three kind of longer monologues. I'm interested in how long those usually take to film, because it looks like they're pretty much one take. But if they slip up a little bit, do you try to edit the pieces together, or is it like, no, we got to start back over and get this in one consecutive shot?
Yes. So there's four monologues in the film.
Four,
So yes,
okay.
we have a dentist, a hippie, a
Oh, yeah.
confectionery genius, and also the costume maker. And so they were given the script 14 weeks in advance to learn their lines. And then I rehearsed with them as much as what was required. But they were told right at the start, it's going to be one shot. So if you do fuck up, we start again. It's as simple as that. And look, on the shoot day, I reckon pretty much all of them nailed it in their first take, because they were like super well rehearsed, because we spent a lot of time. Well, I spent a lot of time with them, and they obviously spent a lot of their own time rehearsing it as well. But I said to them at the start, 14 weeks ago, I was like, look, get the lines down perfectly, because that's 90% of the job. Because I knew they could do it, because I believe in their talent. So I'm like, once you get the lines down, let me know, and then we'll start doing the rehearsal. But 90% of the job is making sure those lines are down perfectly, and then we can work on tones and inflections and get the flow going and all that sort of stuff, which is exactly what happened. And yeah, it turned out great. They're really, really funny. So I was super happy.
It looked like there was a handful of new faces as well, or at least people that didn't. A lot of them were in costumes, so you might not necessarily be able to always peg them down for who they are. But I also noticed some child labor in this film. How was going about that and navigating that? Is that something new for you?
No, well, I've worked with kids a few times before, but the problem I had with this one, I needed 5 kids. So two of them I'd worked with before, so they were totally fine. But the agents were being jerks, because it's my usual sort of shtick. So, it's not a G-rated film. There are some inappropriate kind of jokes here and there within the piece. And the agents were giving me grief, saying that it was too rude and all this sort of stuff. And I would reply to them that it's really not up to them what their opinion, if it's too rude or not. It's up to the parents. I mean, the parents are in charge whether the child auditions or not. They can advise the parent and say, look, I like it or I don't like it. But it's not, they need to be passing the material on. So I was having all kinds of trouble with the agents. But once the parents and the kids were coming in for auditions, obviously they had read the script in full. And so obviously there were some that didn't approve of the material and didn't want to do it. But for the most part, all the parents were fantastic. They came in, and the 5 kids that I ended up getting were absolutely top notch. And the parents were wonderful. Like, they all had a really great sense of humor. They understood the jokes. They understood what was going on. The kids absolutely loved it, because they got to dress up in silly costumes, get makeup done, and say silly, rude jokes. So the kids absolutely loved it as well. So yeah, it was just the talent agents were the problem, not so much the parents, and the kids were fantastic.
That's a lot of times in like my experience, being in radio and that working with actors and certain individuals. So I've gotten the opportunity to interview some cool people, both on the podcast and in my radio gig. But it was always like the agents. You would get these press notes almost when people are doing the radio tours or whatever about what you can and cannot ask about. And a lot of times, like I found like through the grapevine, like I can ask John Cho a Harold and Kumar question, and because they told me not to, and I did, and he was pumped about it, like because I talked to him about I was like, the only reason I ever went to White House is because of Harold and Kumar, and he loved the story, or at least he pretended to, but he wasn't like mad or anything about it. And then somebody else told me later, they're like, yeah, I asked somebody about that once, and the guy was just like, what are you talking about? He's like, of course I'm expecting questions about this. But the agents are just like, oh no, you can't talk about that. And it's just like, okay, dude. Like I just don't get. They just need to calm down a little bit. Do your job. Get the people the gig. Get the people the talk and whatever they need to do, promote their stuff.
Well, I got myself in a little bit of a pickle because I'm very sort of blunt and straight to the point. And one of the agents was giving me grief, and I told them, which is the truth. I said, look, you're a facilitator. So start facilitating because that's your job.
Right.
Like, you're not in charge of, like I say, you can advise. Your job is to advise. Like if you get a piece of crap script come through, by all means, give it to the actor, but put a note with it saying, look, in my opinion, this is a piece of crap script. But if you want to audition and you want to do it, it's 100% your choice, which it is, man. It's their career.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I think they're just a little bit full of their own importance. I mean, I did that film. Was it The Harsh Reality of Reenactment Actors last year, which made fun of talent agents, which was a lot of fun to do because I think they deserve having fun made out of them. With the look there, and to be clear as well, there are some wonderful agents out there that do the right thing, no doubt about that. But for young people who might be listening, who want to do acting and stuff like that, then you really do need to choose your agent carefully because there's a lot of people that will rip you off. And there's a lot of people that won't provide you with good work opportunities. So you really do need to be careful when you're picking your talent agent, just because it's that kind of a dodgy, it's the entertainment industry. Not everybody in it. It's a little bit like a used car salesman. I mean, not everybody has your best interests at heart. So you do have to do your research and make sure that you are getting a really good talent agent, which there are, to be clear, there are some really wonderful ones out there. But you do have to search a little bit to find them.
Absolutely. I have a handful of Halloween type questions, but now I'm learning that most of your life hasn't been as great as like as it is over here. It's in America it is decorations. People go all out, and it's pretty awesome. Like, I go past some houses every day, and I'm just like amazed at the crazy displays, the crazy lights, and I also know how much those things cost. And I'm like, what do these people do for a living? Because they have about $5,000 worth of shit in their yard that sits there and makes growling noises and lights up for only a little bit of time during the year. And then my second question is, where do they put it all? But I don't know. And also, yeah, like every bar in the country has some sort of Halloween party. It's the adults coming in the costumes. There's costume contests where you can win like a ton of money, or you can win some like cool prizes. There's always your basic costumes like pirates, nurse, this, but then it turns into like the slutty pirates, the slutty nurse, and
Well, we had a gay pirate.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I mean that's.
Don't you recall?
Yes, I do.
We had a gay pirate.
I do remember. Yeah, so there are plenty of those too in America. But yeah, we really do enjoy Halloween. But so I was gonna ask, like, what type of Halloween person are you? Are you one that kind of watches horror movies during that time? Do you give out candy to kids if they happen to stumble upon your front door?
Look, I'm a good sport. I always, where I live is a bit of a retirement village, so I don't get too many trick-or-treaters come knocking. I do, probably, like I said earlier, maybe about half a dozen, maybe, throughout the course of the evening, so I don't get a lot, but I always give them some chocolates and whatnot. If I always go out to the store and buy those the big family packs of
Yeah.
like the chocolates, so that I just grab a handful and give them to the kids, and then whatever's left over is for me. But yeah, I'm not. Even though, like I said earlier, there's 27 outfits in this and in this particular film, I'm not one for dressing up myself. I can't remember. When I was at school, there was a few fancy dress things where I dressed up, but I can't really recall too many other times where I've gotten to a costume. But so yeah, I don't really get into it that much. I think it's because I wasn't sort of raised on it, so it's not
Right.
something that really appeals to me. Like I say, my favourite part of Halloween has always been the Simpsons Treehouse of Horrors. But yeah, no, it's I'm a good sport about it all. I, want to make sure the kids have a good time because it's supposed to be about the kids having a bit of fun. But yeah, besides that, like I say, nobody here dresses up there's no bars doing special things or things like that as far as I know. But yeah, it is growing though. So maybe in another 5 or 10 years, that sort of those sorts of things might start coming in. So yes.
So there's no haunted houses. There's no places where you go and you get people jump out at you, and you see all these practical effects and everything like that.
No, the only place I can think of is Spooky Nights down at Warner Brothers Movie World. They do it,
Okay.
and they do it for about the 2 weeks
Yeah.
leading up to Halloween. But like, yeah, you got to. Obviously, it's part of the theme park, so you got to pay and go in and do it. There's a few actors I know that have worked in my films who work there every year for the 2 weeks. It's a nice little gig for the actors. So yeah, there's a couple of actors I know who go down there and get the 2 weeks of work down doing jumping out at people and giving them heart attacks. But yeah, besides that, no, there's not a lot really.
That's crazy. That's crazy to me. Like, my whole life, and even like when we have where I live, trick or treating was completely restructured and we reformulated because a little kid back in like the 70s was murdered in my hometown during trick or treating, and they're like, no, that's not happening again in this little rinky dink place in Wisconsin. We must make trick or treating only 2 hours long and during the day, whereas it used to be at nights and everything like that, which is fine, whatever. But yeah, 2 hours for trick or treating. It's insane the amount of candy that my kids get, and it's it's a lot. But yeah, I do love Halloween. It is a lot of fun, and it's interesting to imagine a life without it, or like where you just where I couldn't imagine being like almost an adult, and then all of a sudden we're like, oh, there's a new holiday I gotta. Oh, okay. They do what?
Yeah, I've never actually been trick or treating because it wasn't a thing until I was like 20, 21, 19, 20, something like that. So yeah, I've never actually went trick or treating as a kid. So yeah, it never was a thing. So yeah, but once I started learning about it, like I started writing, a few sketches here and there, and would save them, and eventually it turned into a film because I just thought the original thought was the costume sketches were the first thing I wrote, and I'm like just coming up with as many silly costume ideas or silly things that could happen when you're wearing a particular costume as possible. So yeah, so that because there's 20 costume sketches, like I say, there's 27 costumes in total, but there's 20 sketches where something ridiculous happens either with the person wearing a silly outfit or the adults acting terribly or whatever it might be.
My favorite one, and not to drop the spoiler here, but was the lung. I thought
the rotten lung. Yeah, that was. I had that specially made. Obviously, the lung. It's there's a company that does costumes out here. Like they build costumes for films, but they also provide costumes for theme parks and all that sort of stuff. And so I went in to see him, and they're really good guys. And I told them what I wanted. I wanted a rotten lung. And he's like, yeah, no, we can do that. And so how do you do it? And he's like, oh, we'll just do it in foam, and then you put it over the top of the person like a dress. So he said, we've done that with, I think, the Kung Fu Panda and the Shrek outfits for Dreamworld are done like that. So you just sort of put it over the top of the person. So, yeah.
Does it look actually like Kung Fu Panda?
What the Kung Fu Panda outfit? Well, yeah,
Yeah.
because the not the lung obviously, but
Right.
the lung is the lung. But no, they've done Star Wars stuff for films, and they've done
Oh,
but
crazy.
the two that he mentioned that they've built Kung Fu Panda and Shrek for Dreamworld because they do like stage shows for the kids. So
Oh, I
yeah.
see. Okay. That sounds pretty fun. It sounds like a fun, magical place.
Well, it's a dodgy. Well, no, I shouldn't say dodgy. That's wrong. It's a very large warehouse out the back in Coomera, next to a couple of boat building sheds. So it's a very industrial kind of a complex. So you walk in there, it's not a magical place, looking place at all. But they pump out the quality. So
Yeah.
as long as they keep, because they also built the robot, because there's a robot in the film as
Yeah.
well.
I was impressed by
And
that. I thought that was great.
yeah, yeah, they also built the robot for me. So they were the two costumes I had specially made.
So now what are you going to do with it? Where,
Well,
where?
the lung's currently in my garage. It was built. It was built to size, so it fits the kid that was in it. So I suppose if I could find someone of the same height, I could use it again, I guess. But it's just it's actually someone came over to my place the other day and they saw it in the garage and they're like, "The fuck is that?" I'm like, "It's a rotten lung. Have you never seen a rotten lung before?"
Yeah, you can use it for propaganda purposes. We can lobby against big tobacco, and yeah, it'd be
Well, that's what the kid was doing in the film.
yeah, exactly. And it did an excellent job. I personally, I think cigarette smoking is disgusting. I really do. So I was like, yeah, I like this kid. I like the message that he's trying to spread. But yeah, man, it's a fun film. The mockumentary style is good, especially in this context. You got anything cooking up next? Have you ever just like paused your life, Gough, and just said like, I've done enough, and I just need a fucking break.
I can't. My brain won't let me. My brain's too active. I've got problems. I don't sleep a lot. Uh, like yeah, I just like I probably like at night time I'll go to bed at like midnight, half midnight, and then I'm up at 6.
Mm.
Like I don't really do a lot of sleep. My brain's just really full on and active and just doesn't stop. So if I do have a week or two off where there's nothing much going on, I start going a little bit cuckoo bananas and start losing my shit. So I gotta keep going for my own sanity.
Yeah, that works. But at least you're doing something that you love and something that you enjoy. It's not without its obstacles, I'm sure. So that's gotta be a good feeling. I hope one day I can say that to myself. Like,
Oh, well, don't be. This interview just took a very dark turn. Don't be so down on yourself, Drew. But yeah, you are correct. I mean, I do absolutely love what I do. I'm very lucky that I'm able to do it, and yes, long may it continue. Because yeah, I really do enjoy making entertainment. It's something, whether it be because I've done audio files and the films and all sorts of stuff. So I just enjoy pumping out entertaining content and making people feel good by watching my stuff. It makes me feel good. So yeah, it's a wonderful thing to do, and I hope I can continue to do it forever.
I know back in the day you were in the world of stand up for a little bit. Have you ever considered uh, getting back on that throne?
I haven't, to be honest. I saw an interview with Steve Martin once, and I think he summed it up quite well because they asked him, would you ever go out and do a stand-up comedy tour again? And he goes, no, it's a young man's game. It's not for me anymore. And I kind of see where he was coming from because, I mean, the shtick I used to do, I don't think I'd get too many laughs nowadays just because of how times have changed and attitude. Not that I was going saying horrible, awful things. It's just my style of comedy yeah, I don't know that it would fly so well on stage like it used to. And look, at the end of the day, the goal was to always make my films and to start up the production company anyway.
Okay.
The stand-up was just sort of a stepping stone and a writing sort of a situation and a performance practice and just trying to get some money behind me and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it was never the end goal anyway. The making the films and starting the production company was always the plan. So, but no, I haven't really considered. Actually, it's funny you should mention that. You're the second person to ask me that in the case of a week. I had someone the other day say, "Would you ever consider doing stand up again?" But no, it's not really something that has crossed my mind, to be honest.
You never know. Never say never, right?
That's very true indeed.
You could be on. You could be on. Does Australia have Australia's Got Talent?
Yeah, sadly we do. Yes.
I think every country, every place does, and I don't watch that stuff. Do you watch Dancing with the Stars, Gough?
Well, I think it would be more appropriately named "Dancing with the Washed Up People That We Used to Know." I think would be a more appropriate title. But yes, that show is here in Australia. But actually, going back to Got Talent. So on my podcast a little while ago, I interviewed Picasso. Now, Picasso paints paintings like portraits with his dick. That's why he's called Prick Arso instead of Picasso, Picasso. So he essentially uses his dick as the paintbrush.
All right.
And he's quite famous to the point where you can actually jump on YouTube because he went around the world going on the Got Talent shows. So he's done the Australian one, he did the UK one, he did the one in the Netherlands. So he's done a whole bunch of them, and you can YouTube him and you can look it up. But the best one was when he did the one in the UK, Simon Cowell stormed out and said, "This is disgusting. I'm mortified by all this. This is horrible." And he stormed off and had a big cry about it all. But look, it's hilarious because he did my portrait because he said to me, "Well, if you're going to interview me on your podcast, you need to see what I do." And I'm like, "Absolutely." So I went out to his place and he did my portrait for me, which I still have, by the way. And yeah, it's funny as fuck. Like, it's hilarious. He literally paints with his dick. It's magical.
So like it's in his hand and he's dipping it in the paint and doing all that.
Yeah. So what he does, he dips his cock in the paint and then gets the canvas and he moves his cock all over the canvas and paints your portrait.
What I wonder, like it just has to start as like what if I do this, like
Well,
kind type of thought.
He's he's one of those just genius kind of creative types. Because when I went to his place, like he built his own house, and it's
With his
just
dick?
insane. Like the council. I put a photo up of it on Instagram. If people like scroll right through a million Instagram posts, will see it. But the council keep giving him shit because he didn't get any approval for any of it, and it's the most like outrageously looking house. It's just fantastic. And then you go in, and he's got he does pottery and stuff like that as well. So he does all kinds of creative stuff. But like he's got an old World War II landmine that ocean mine, I should say, that he's hollowed out, and he uses that as his kiln to do his pottery. So like it's just mad shit. But yeah, he does. He travels, but this is the best bit because he's a dude now. He's like 74 now.
Yeah.
So he's not young, but he's in wicked shape. Like he's rocking a six-pack and the whole lot. But so he's got to take Viagra for the show, like to do what he does. And so I was having a chat to a friend of mine who introduced me to him. And I'm like, "Oh, his real name is Tim." So I said, "How's Tim going?" And he's like, "Oh, he's been in hospital." I'm like, "What's wrong?" She said he's having heart murmurs because he's having too much Viagra. We're all telling him, "You got to stop with the painting. It's going to kill you." So
now that could be the next Beernuts Productions, a nice documentary on or a documentary on Picasso.
Oh man, it's the funniest shit. It took him about 20 minutes to do my portrait, and it is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. It's just, and then he signs it at the end, and it's a good painting. Like it's not like it's a bad effort. Like it's actually a quality painting, and yeah, it's just paints it with his cock. It's absolutely magical. So yeah,
That's I am envious of your experience because that sounds amazing and a one of a kind opportunity that I don't think a lot of people get. So
I'll have to email you a couple of the photos.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. But all right, so you got the new film. Let the people know where they can consume it, see it, and how can they stay up to date on all things Beernuts Productions.
Absolutely. So yes, the Trick or Treat is the name of the new film, and it is available at beernutsproductions.com. as is all the other films. So there's now 34 films total, all available to download at beernutsproductions.com, along with audio downloads. We got a weekly podcast. There's a couple of silly little books in there that you can, fun books that you can have a read of as well. But yeah, so there's heaps of great content. And of course, we're all over the socials: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, which is I think now X.
Yeah.
We're on Threads, which nobody else is. And of course, YouTube, where you can watch all the trailers, and there's some bonus content and stuff on the YouTube channel. So if you just type in Beernuts Productions, we will come up and you can enjoy all the good stuff.
Were you able to slam a nice brewski after the wrap on and completion of this project?
Of course, I always like to have a couple of cold ones to celebrate. Actually, I was thinking just earlier, I do have a question for you, Drew.
Yeah.
You may not know the answer to this, but I was a little bit surprised. So I was in a taxi the other day, and on the radio was an ad for a brand new beer company and beer that they're doing called Traveller Beer. I've not tried it, so I don't know if it's any good or not. But the commercial said that 90% of beers sold in Australia have ingredients or are made overseas, which I found surprising, considering that, again, as far as my very limited knowledge on brewing beer goes, it's wheat and barley is kind of the two major ingredients, which, I mean, Australia produces a metric fuck ton of wheat and barley. Like, we grow that shit. So I'm just curious, like the stat of 90% of beers are either made or ingredients come from overseas seems staggering to me. Would you think that America would have a similar stat, or where do you reckon they get such a statistic from?
Yeah, I feel like most of the ingredients that people get for beers would come from America. I guess it depends on the hops. You get different hops as well for different tastes and different types of beer. I don't know. I can ask the guy that I know who is a master brewer where all the stuff comes from. Yeah, that's an interesting stat. I would assume it would be America that's where they get the stuff, but I could be wrong on that.
I'm right. I'm right though. With the major ingredients are wheat and
Yeah.
barley, surely. Yeah. So I mean, Australia grow like we sell that shit overseas. We've got too much of it. We export it. You know what I mean? So it must be other stuff that they're getting in from overseas. I would have thought, or maybe it's one of those things like they sell everything overseas and then we have to import a little bit back because we sell too much of it. Maybe I've got no idea how any of that stuff works. It's far above my pay grade. But I know that, like for example, they would have like your Heinekens and things like that, your Guinness and stuff like that obviously comes from overseas. But, I mean, there are a lot of, as we've discussed, there's a lot of microbreweries and local breweries that have sprung up here on the Gold Coast and all over Australia. So I can't see them being able to afford to get their ingredients shipped in from overseas. But maybe they do. I don't know. But again, I know nothing about this sort of stuff. And the ad on the radio, they might have their facts wrong. I wouldn't have thought so. But yeah, 90% seems like an awfully high number because their thing was all of our beers and all the ingredients are all Australian owned and Australian based and Australia sort of a situation. That's how they were doing their marketing pitch, which, that's what they chose to do. But yeah, it just struck me as an odd statistic. That's all.
Yeah. I mean, primarily it's like the barley, the water. You got to throw hops and then you get yeast in there. So the yeast is what makes it ferment. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they would do it from a quick search that I'm seeing. And at least in America, yeah, it's barley used and is pretty much from either Northern America or Canada is where they'll get kind of their stuff. And then same thing with the hops. A lot of the hops come from Washington, Oregon, or Idaho. So 96% of U.S. hop is all made in the Pacific Northwest. And then you get your water from wherever you're at, I would imagine. And then same thing with like your yeast. You just get it from like some sort of commercial lab company or whatever. So yeah, that's interesting. I don't know the logistics behind it all. I haven't gotten that far in the beer world, but maybe one day. Maybe one day, man.
Surely you've brewed some. Surely you've had a crack at brewing some beer over the years.
Yeah. Homebrew stuff for sure. Where you
How'd
get
you go? Did it turn out well?
Yeah. You can get like the kits, the little kits that come with all the ingredients and all the stuff, and then you just follow the directions, and then once you get better at it, you can kind of start mixing and matching. I know I have a lot of good friends that are home brewers and really good at it. I have a friend who's won several like competitions and stuff, and has actually been able to brew his recipe at a local brewery, and they were able to sell it and all that kind of stuff. So that's pretty cool. But my favorite part is the consumption. So that's what I really focus on: the taste of it, the smell of it, and does it make me want to dance after I've had a few and Whitney Houston's playing over the jukebox?
Whitney Houston, okay, fair enough.
She's great. I love me some good. If you play, I Will Always Love You at peak like bar time, so like 12:30, 1 a.m. It's magic happens 100% of the time. So the next time, if you happen to be out, on a little bit of a bender or something like that, and you're like, oh, it's 12:30, it's time for some Whitney, and I assure you, everyone in the room will feel the love, and it'll be beautiful.
Well, I need to go to the same bars you're going to, it would seem.
Yeah, anytime. You come around Halloween, and you can get the American Halloween experience, and you can see some nice costumes, and you can see some creative costumes, and then you can see just a lot of crazy wild things. And we'll even take you trick or treating. We'll say this is my friend from Australia. First time trick or treating, give him candy.
No, I'd be all up for that. That'd be a fun time for everybody. And then on the weekend, we'd go see the Packers play, and it would be an all-over American Wisconsin experience.
That sounds pretty splendid to me, if I do say so myself. Well, Gough, I appreciate you coming on. I always enjoy watching your films, and I encourage everyone to check this new one out, and check all of them out, because they all have their laughs. They all have a lot of things that you can relate to as the viewer. Like, we all have had many of these experiences in most of them. No, I can't say all of them, but in most of them.
Well, thank you, Drew. I appreciate that. And yes, hopefully this trick or treat film people really enjoy, and they get a good laugh out of it with all the. It's probably one of the biggest ones I've ever done, with all the costumes and the makeup and whatnot. So yeah, hopefully people get a real kick out of it and they enjoy it like you did. But thank you so much for having me on the podcast.
As always, we look forward to talking after the next one.
Absolutely.
Pew pew! Audio. Goodbye, everyone.